Hello everyone, it's time for another spooky video, and for tonight's spooky video I am going to be doing another ghost cat update. I'm not sure if you guys are getting tired of these by now or not, but as I've said plenty of times before, I'm sure you guys are getting tired of hearing me say it by now, that I like making these videos kind of to look back on, you know, and so I can kind of like document all the times that I see my cats. And if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Melanie and I make creepy videos every Saturday, so you should be sure to stick around, and I do all kinds of other different videos as well. And I just wanted to say, like I say in every single video that I make like this, that I would in no way, shape, or form make up anything that I tell you guys that I have experienced. Everything that I tell you guys, I'm being 100% truthful with, and you can take that however you would like. Now, I have seen them quite a few times since the last video I've made like this, but I'm just going to share with you guys like the most memorable times that I've seen them. Before I get into this, I just wanted to say that I did recently have another cat pass away, and that was in March of this year, so literally like a month ago, not even, we had another cat pass away, and it was Ella. Ella was Carla's sister. I'll throw in some pictures in here for you guys to see. I don't feel like I ever do that in these videos. But anyways, she had a lump grow on to her chest, and we went to get her checked out for that, and they told us, you know, at first that it could have been like hormones, or, you know, they didn't know for sure because we hadn't got her fixed yet, and we were going to make an appointment to come back to get her fixed. And then unfortunately, the following time that we did that, it had progressed, you know, it had came open, it was really gross, and we kind of knew then that, you know, something was terribly wrong, and they let us know that she had memory cancer. There was nothing they could do for her at that point, so we unfortunately had to put her to sleep. I have seen her quite a few times after she has passed on, and that's what this entire video is going to be about. So most of these happened in March, because I wrote the date down. So on March 19th, 2018, I saw Booger on the floor looking at me. And just the other day, I was standing next to my cat's cat tower, and this is going to be all over the place, so I apologize if it doesn't really make sense. Yeah, I was standing next to the cat's cat tower, and right beside it there is a huge, like, Easter basket thing, and Booger used to sleep in that. And I'm standing over there petting Wubsy, I believe, and out of the corner of my eye, I can see her sitting in that basket looking up at me. I've seen her on the floor multiple times. I see her on the floor all the time, looking up at me. One day I had my door open, and I believe I was sitting on the floor doing my makeup or something. I can't fully remember. And out of the corner of my eye, I seen Booger, like, peep her head around the corner looking in my room at me. One night, me and my parents were in the living room watching a movie, and every single one of our cats was in the living room with us, except for Carla, who had been in my room asleep on my bed. And we had heard a cat meow. Now, on the TV, there were nothing to do with any cats on the television, so we knew it wasn't from that. And I had my door closed at the time, so had it been Carla, I feel like it would have been a little bit harder to hear her. But just in case, my dad ended up going into my room to check on her, because he thought maybe she was at the door wanting out, because sometimes that's what she would do. Well, Carla was still in my bed asleep. She had not moved 1 inch. It was not her that meowed. So yeah, and all of the other cats were in the living room, and it kind of sounded like the way Booger or Tigger would do. I believe it was on the same night, I had actually seen a white orb out of the corner of my eye float over and like went into the wall. Then I believe it was on Booger's death anniversary day. I was looking at my On This Day memories on Facebook, and it had actually came up a post that I had like written about her, And I started reading that off to my parents, and as I was reading it off to my parents, I could have swore I seen her out of the corner of my eye on the floor looking up at me as soon as I said poo poobie. Okay, so those were all of the times that I last saw Booger since the last video that I made. So one night it was getting really late and my dad had to feed my cat Dutchie before he went to sleep, so he walked into the living room. I believe he had the big light on, and he walks in there to feed her, and out of the corner of my eye I seen a big black cat sitting on our floor, and she was looking at me, and our cat Wubsy was sitting under the chair at our kitchen table. And when I mentioned this to my dad, he said that he thought he had seen something as well sitting on the floor out of the corner of his eye. And as you guys know, I had a black cat named Midnight that had passed on. So I believed this was her because it was a little bit chubbier of a cat, and Wubsy's more slender and she was a little bit more filled out. She also used to stay with me on my bed 24/7. Everywhere I went, that cat would follow me. I was sleeping with my cat. It was in the middle of the night, and something woke me up. It felt like me and Rocco were the only ones in here, and Rocco was sleeping right beside my head. He sleeps right beside my head every single night. And it felt as if a cat had jumped up on my bed and was pushing down on the bed. I felt like the pressure of a cat pressing down near my feet. And when I looked down, there was nothing there. So I believe that might have been one of my cats that passed on. I'm not exactly sure which one, but I kind of associate it more with Midnight because she would always jump up on my bed. She was always on my bed. Then one day, it was a nice, beautiful day outside. The sun was shining in the windows, and I thought that I had seen Midnight setting in the sunlight. Wubsy was sitting on the back of the couch at the time, nowhere near where I had seen this black cat. Then I thought I seen her one last time sitting on the floor in the same exact spot right next to my parents' bed. Okay, so this was on the day that they took Ella to be put to sleep. And I had told her, just like I had told Tigger, come back to see me as the others have. And they took her to the vet. I said my goodbyes. I kissed her and everything. It was around, I believe they took her around 1 something, almost 2. They had left, I stayed home. And it was around 2:40 in the afternoon. And I looked down. And I swore that I seen her sitting on the floor, rised up. Her eyes were all bright. She had a big smile on her face, and she was looking up at me. And it was almost as if, she was out of her pain and, she was her full, healthy self again. So that definitely put a smile on my face, and I ended up asking my parents, what time do you think that it was that they put her to sleep? And my dad told me that it was around 2:40 in the afternoon. So I thought that was interesting. Also, every time one of my cats pass away, I always hear a certain song on the radio I kind of assume is their song for them, because it's always a death song or losing a loved one, a song about something like that. And on this day, I had asked God to give me a sign, that Ella had made it and Ella was okay. And before my parents left, I should have said this before, but my mom was flipping through the channels, and there was a concert that was of Fleetwood Mac, which I'm not sure if you guys have heard of them or not, but they're a really good band, and they were singing this song called Goodbye Baby. And if you have not heard this song, it says something like, so then one day I had just gotten out of the shower and I walked in my room. I had my door open, and out of the corner of my eye I swore that I seen a gray cat walk into my room, and it looked just like Ella. And Carla, which would be our only other gray cat, was in the living room at the time, so I know that it wasn't her. And then I walked into the bathroom a few times, which, if you guys have seen my furry friend tag that I just recently made, I believe that I uploaded it sometime this week, but It's probably before you're seeing this. Anyways, I mentioned that Ella loved water. Like, she stayed around water. She loved when I took a bath or a shower, she would come in the bathroom and, sit on the side of the bathtub, and this is going to sound weird, but she would sit there and watch me. And I walked into the bathroom on March 26th, and I thought that I had seen her sitting on the side of the bathtub. And that was somewhere she always used to sit, and I believe there was another time that night that I had also seen her again sitting on the toilet seat. Then my dad has this blanket that he sits at the end of his side of my parents' bed, and Ella loved to sleep on that blanket, and right before she passed away she was sleeping like so much on that blanket. And my dad said that he thought that he had seen her laying on his blanket looking at him. And I believe it was like the night after this, my parents had just came home from work, and I believe they were walking in the door, and I walked into the living room to tell them something, and I looked over and I thought I had seen the same thing, Ella sitting on that blanket. Then another thing that Ella used to do when she was living was she would roam around in our living room, and just kind of like snoop. She was a very curious cat. She loved like seeing everything and investigating it, and I thought that I had seen her out of the corner of my eye walking around as she used to do when she was snooping. And then I believe it was another time I was putting our computer up, because we always keep it in a drawer away from our cats, and I thought that I had seen her again sitting on my dad's blanket at the end of the bed. So I've seen her about like 3 times on my dad's blanket. Then there was one time I went to go pee, and I thought that I had seen her once again in the bathroom on the floor looking up at me, because she would like come rub up against my legs as I was sitting on the toilet peeing and want me to pet her, and it was almost like she was getting ready to do that, like she was looking up at me. Also, I don't know if this was her related or not, it kind of reminded me of Booger, but I thought that I had seen a cat go like around the corner and into the cat tunnel, which we keep underneath this table that I feel like I've mentioned a few times. And then I was sitting on the floor in my room doing my makeup. I believe I had the door open, and I thought that I heard a cat meowing in our hallway. Carla, I believe, was in the living room. There were a few cats in the living room, so I mean, this one could be explainable. I just tell you guys things that I know are paranormal experiences or that I feel could be. I thought I heard a cat meowing, and there was no cats in my room. And I believe Dutchie was in Tigger's room at the time. She was laying on his tote box, so there was a possibility it could have been her, because I believe she was jumping down. But like I said, I don't know for sure. I'm just telling you guys because I don't really know 100% for sure, like, if it was paranormal or if it wasn't. Then my dad thought that he had seen Ella sitting on the back of the couch, which was another place she liked to lay and sleep. And then I was sitting on my floor one day, and it was a bright, beautiful, sunshiny day. The sun was shining into my windows, and I'm sitting on the floor. I believe I was doing my makeup, and out of the corner of my eye, I had my door open again, I thought that I had seen a cat walk into my room, and they were walking up beside me, like almost sniffing me or wanting me to pet them. And it looked gray, okay? And all my other cats, I believe, were in different parts of the house, and Carla might have been in here, but if she was laying on my bed, so it wasn't her. And I looked over, and this cat disappeared. So I'm assuming that it was Ella. Then my mom thought she had seen Ella in the hallway looking at her, because Ella was my mom's cat. And she also said that she thought she had seen Tigger lying next to my dad on the floor when he was laying there watching TV. Loved my dad. Like, he was pretty much my dad's cat, even though he was my sister's cat, because he stayed by my dad's side 24/7. Also, my dad thought that he had seen Midnight on the floor right next to the food dish. I've seen Tigger on the couch on multiple occasions. Then I thought I'd seen him a few times on the floor as well. on the tote box as I'm walking by. Sometimes I'll see him out of the corner of my eye on the tote box. And I've seen him sitting next to my dad a few times as well. And also the other day, as I've told you guys before, See You Again was Tigger's song by Carrie Underwood. Like, that's a song that came on whenever we were taking him to, get him cremated. And that song barely ever comes on the radio, every once in a blue moon. And it came on the radio the other day, and then I believe, as I'm hearing the song, I believe it was a couple days later, a week or two later, I'm in the car with my parents, we're going somewhere, and I hear the song again. Then directly after, I'm listening to my iPod, and then that song comes on shuffle. And I seen that as a sign of Tigger being there, because I believe it was when I came back home that day, I had actually seen him again. Then I don't know if I told you guys about this or not, but Tigger loved cheese. Like, he loved to eat cheese. Anything with cheese on it, he would want it. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but those little, like, cracker sticks with the cheese that you can dip down in there and eat that way, we had gotten some of those one night. So I'm getting me one, and right before I'm getting ready to stick it in my mouth and eat it, I'm like, cheese and crackers. Do you know what this reminds me of? And I go, T-I double, and then I'm getting ready to finish, and right out of the corner of my eye, I see Tigger appear on the couch, and he's looking at me like, give me some cheese. And then just today, literally guys, I'm not even kidding you, I see my cats every single day. But just today, I woke up, and I opened up my door, and I believe I was sitting there petting my cats because they greet me every single morning when I wake up. And I was like looking through my hallway, and I thought that I seen the shadow of a cat sitting there on the floor looking at me through the hallway. Like, it was sitting at the very end of the hallway looking at me. I'm not sure which cat this was. I couldn't really tell. It was too dark, but there was not a cat there. And then also, I was standing in the bathroom doing my makeup and fixing my hair today. And out of the corner of my eye, I seen a cat sitting there looking at me. To me, this time, it looks like Booger sitting there looking at me. But whenever I looked, it would, like, disappear. But I could see it out of the corner of my eye, like, with my peripheral vision, whenever I would turn my head back to the mirror and, go to do my makeup. I believe that was Booger. So this was really strange. One night I was walking past the couch. I believe this was before we had this was before we had put Ella to sleep. And I was walking past my couch, and Carla was in my room. Carla was Ella's sister. She was the only other gray cat that we have. And I was walking past my couch, and I could have sworn I seen a cat look just like Carla sitting there on the couch, and it was looking up at me. Like, I could see its eyes, and the entire time I'm walking around the couch, this cat's sitting there looking at me. And I don't know which cat it was. Like, that was kind of unexplainable for me. I don't know which cat it was. Also, I thought that I had seen a shadow walking on the wall, like, of a cat, and they went into the hallway, and I believe I looked in the hallway, and none of our cats were in there. Like, all of them were in the living room. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but before Ella passed away, it was like a few months before this, it was in like December or something, my dad had told us that he had a dream that Ella came to him, and it was almost as if she was like telling him, like a warning, like, get me fixed, appreciate me, love me. And it wasn't like she was actually talking to him. I know that sounds weird, but like, he could see Ella, but like, it was a voice come into his head kind of telling him this stuff. Like, he kind of got a feeling telepathically. And he had mentioned this to us at that time, but I had forgotten all about it. And you fast forward a couple months later, and we see this lump on her chest, and we hadn't gotten a chance to get her fixed yet. And I had forgotten all about this incident with the dream with my dad, and then he brings it back up. And it took me a while, but then I remembered it. I'm like, oh my god, I do remember that now that I think about it. So I believe my dad was kind of getting a warning sign from, I don't know if it was from Ella, or I don't know if it was from, like, a spirit or something. I'm not sure, but like I believe he was getting some sort of premonition. So I thought that was interesting, and I thought I would share that with you guys because I don't think I ever really did because I didn't think much of it. Those were all of the ghost cat experiences that I've had since the last time I've made one of these videos. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a big ol' thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already and become a morbid maniac. And let me know what you think of these experiences. And I will see you guys in the next video.